Peymon who?
Matahede.
Peymon Latahede. Who is he?
Never paid taxes in 30 years. Fought the U.S. tax court and won.
See, I believe our rights come from God, not from government.
Hello to my truth and freedom-seeking friends. I'm Peymon Latahede, the president of Freedom Law School. I've not filed and paid any federal income nor payroll income taxes for over 30 years and openly teaching others like you to do the same legally and safely. In this Freedom Hour, I will cover for you Trump is in and income taxes are out. What can you do now? And how can you benefit right now from Trump's attitude about the whole income tax system that he wants to get rid of? That's right. You haven't heard about that? Let me give you guys a little refresher, okay? Here we go. It's in the news. Yeah, January 14th, for example, 2025. Trump announces creation of external revenue service. Okay, well, let's go hear Trump's own voice. Let's see what he says about all this stuff before I give you the great news at the end that you love. So here we go. Let's see what Trump tells us.
On day one, I immediately halted the hiring of any new IRS agents. You know, they hired or tried to hire 88,000 new workers to go after you, and we're in the process of developing a plan to either terminate all of them or maybe we'll move them to the border. I think we're going to move them to the border.
Yep, Trump wants to move the IRS employees to the border. Why should he be harassing Americans? Take your money, make it poor, right? Let's go protect our borders. That's more important than making you poorer. But there's more Donald Trump has said. Let's watch this other short clip of him with Joe Rogan. He did before the election.
To me, the most beautiful word, and I've said this for the last couple of weeks, in the dictionary today, is the word tariff. It's more beautiful than love. It's more beautiful than anything. It's the most beautiful word. This country can become rich with the proper use of tariffs.
Did you just float out the idea of getting rid of income taxes and replacing it with tariffs?
Well, okay.
Were you serious about that?
Yeah, sure, but why not?
Yeah, sure. Why not get rid of the income taxes? And now he's going to get even more specific on this topic, where Trump is coming from. Watch this one now.
America is going to be very rich again, and it's going to happen very quickly. It's time for the United States to return to the system that made us richer and more powerful than ever before. Do you know the United States in 1870 to 1913, all tariffs, and that was the richest period in the history of the United States, relatively speaking. In other words, relatively. And they set up the Great Tariff Commission of 1887, and this commission had one function: what to do with all the money that we took in. It was so enormous that they had no idea. It was a blue ribbon committee. It was set up 1887, and what to do with all of the money that we had. And again, Teddy Roosevelt was a beneficiary, because when McKinley was killed, he took over this vast sum of money, and he did all of those national parks and all of the other things. And I'm not knocking him, but he was given a vast amount of money, and that was all made through tariffs. We had no income tax. The income tax came in 1913. As I said in my speech last week, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich our citizens. Does that make sense, right?
We're going to tax foreign nations to enrich you, the American people, that the U.S. government works for, that you put in place with Donald Trump. Yes. And guess what? We can do it. We can tax not just imports of products, but also all these illegal aliens or immigrants legal. They come, we let them into America. And for the privilege of being able to come to land of the free and home of the brave, we could tax them, and you, the Americans, have no income and no payroll taxes whatsoever. That's right. America has right now tens of millions of green card holders. That's right. You know, immigrants of all sorts, HB1 visa, whatever they call all this kind of stuff. These guys all can pay income tax. Even first-time U.S. citizens, they who are not born here, they should pay income tax. But people who are born here should not. So students coming to America or university, they pay income tax. You want to hire a foreigner, you pay tax on that. But if you are in America, the employer pays zero tax. And how much does the employer withhold from your paycheck? Zero. Oh, so the employer would rather hire you or Jose Gonzalez or Pedro Ramirez from El Salvador or Guatemala. Oh, or Mr. Muhammad Punjab from Bangladesh. He'd rather hire you, the America, okay? The American. So it does work. It will work. Yes, costs of some goods that are imported will go up, but that's minor. Because all the good paying manufacturing industrial based jobs that were sent over the decades, since 1970s, they went out to Japan, to Korea, to China, to India and the third world. They're going to come back. When you have a nice, good paying job with much higher wages, well, of course you can afford to pay a little bit more for cost of products with the tariffs, right? It's okay. Now, I got even better news how this situation can affect you right now, benefit from Trump's attitude for America first and Americans like you, all of you first. So let's get to it. You see this 1040 U.S. individual income tax return that for years or decades, many of you have filled out and signed it thinking, oh, I got to fill out this form because I'm a good American, U.S. citizen, and as a U.S. citizen, I should pay my individual income tax, share of taxes. Well, this form, however, is not for you, the people of the 50 states. I know that sounds incredible, very shocking and unreal, but hang in there. I will show you from U.S. government's official legal websites. This is from IRS's website, and I'm going to show you the next thing also from IRS's website, the 1040 income tax form instructions on page 8 about filing requirements. IRS tells people that these rules of the 1040 tax form, U.S. individual income tax form, apply to all U.S. citizens regardless of where they live and resident aliens. Okay, but this term U.S., what is U.S.? Because U.S. citizen all depends on what the word U.S. means. Well, the IRS doesn't tell us what that means. You know why? Because it's not their job necessarily. It's your job to know the law as published by U.S. government. The lawmakers publish the law for everyone to read here. This is the Office of the Law Revision Council of the United States that tells us that the United States Code is consolidation and codification by subject matter of the general and permanent laws of the United States, and it is prepared by the Office of the Law Revision Council of the United States House of Representatives. The lawyers of House of Representatives puts that to the rule. This is the official source of law that all judges and lawyers and you must go to follow the law. So, here we go there. They have different categories of federal law. Here it is, category or Title 26, the Internal Revenue Code. And you know what? I have right here in my hand the physical portion, the paper copy. They don't print anymore. They used to 20 years ago when I got these books. I got just a couple of these around still, okay? Here it is. This is entire gobbledygook, confusion, BS. They put together to confuse you and your accountant, CPA, tax attorney to be a slave, okay? They put the definitions at the end not at the beginning, so you don't look at it and reading and don't understand. Okay, and that way they can take advantage of your confusion. So here it is. Part 1, tax on individuals, right? Okay, this is the famous section when every accountancy pay tax attorney tell you tax imposed is on section 1 of Title 26, the Internal Revenue Code of Federal Tax Laws, okay? Well, let's see. These individuals it keeps referring to, who are these individuals? You know, talk about, heads of household individuals, right? All these. Well, let's see. The United States Treasury Department, okay, comes up with regulations that explain and implement the more details of the law that may not be quite clear in the laws, okay? Because they look at the laws over the decades and make sure the meaning of the whole decades of laws is properly put in the newest, regulations to make sure it's clear for you. And they give you the answer right there, okay? Regulations are much harder to find online, by the way. This is ecfr.gov, okay? That puts all this together. So here it is, Part 1.1-1, income tax on individuals, okay? And it correctly tells us that Section 1 of the Internal Revenue Code imposes an income tax on the income of every individual who is a citizen or resident of the United States. That's Part 1. Okay, the second part is a little bit more complicated, and to the extent provided by Section 871B or 877B on income of a non-resident alien individual, okay? Well, that's a little bit more of a longer topic, okay? So, but let's focus on the first part, on the income tax imposed on every individual who's a citizen or resident of the United States. Well, what does the United States mean? Is defined in Title 26, Internal Revenue Code. Here we are, Chapter 79, definitions. They define everything here. They tell you right here when used in this title. What title? Title 26, Internal Revenue Code, the federal tax laws. Okay? They define words that do not even need defining, like person and partnership. Now let's go down to United States and state and look at that amazing definitions. The term state shall be construed to include not any of the 50 states, but the District of Columbia, which is not even a state. But guess what? They can include D.C. if they want to, and exclude the 50 states if Congress wants to. So now with that understanding, look at the term United States, what that means. When used in a geographical sense, United States includes only the states is now we know is the District of Columbia and the District of Columbia again. So United States mean the District of Columbia, not the 50 states. Now I know you all think, oh come on, Peymon. Everybody knows, obviously, the 50 states are clearly implied. Everybody knows you don't have to mention that, right? Wrong. According to not me, but the U.S. Supreme Court. You listen to those guys? Well, they'll tell you, in this case of Stenberg versus Carhart, came out in year 2000. Let's say what they say about definitions. They say it's so important. They say when a statute or law includes an explicit definition like what you just saw, we must follow that definition, even if it varies from that term's ordinary meaning. The ordinary meaning of 50 states is not in the United States or state definition. You got to go by what Congress wrote down. In fact, they further add, Supreme Court, that it is axiomatic, which means self-evident, obvious, that the statutory or legal definition of the term excludes unstated meanings of that term. Again, when the term states and United States you saw, They do not include or list the 50 states. They're not there. That's what you gotta do. Whoa! You see, I wasn't just joking. This is what the law says. In fact, now some people say, oh, Peymon, that's not a tax case. Give me a tax case that says that. Okay, I'll give you a unanimous U.S. Supreme Court tax case of Gould versus Gould that came out in 1979, 0 case. And here's what the holding or conclusion of the court case says. In the interpretation or understanding of statutes or laws levying taxes, imposing taxes, it is the established rule, well known, not to extend their provisions of tax laws by implication or implying or assuming, folks, beyond the clear import of the language used, or to enlarge their operations of tax laws so as to embrace or include matters not specifically pointed out. If it's not specifically pointed out, it's not there. The 50 states are not listed in the definition of the term United States, right? They're not. Right here. You see it? No. New York, California, Florida, none of the 50 states are there. Therefore, it is not there. That is what the Supreme Court tells us. Furthermore, Supreme Court tells us this warning. In case of doubt, any doubt you have about this, they, meaning the tax laws, are construed or understood, interpreted most strongly against the government's power to tax and in favor of the citizen not being taxed. Yep. This is so well known, the list, several cases, 3 cases going back, that this is so well known. We have a unanimous Supreme Court saying this. So, the income tax does not apply to the people of the 50 states. Okay? Congratulations. It gets even better. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you guys an example where the Congress can and does tax the 50 states. In the Internal Revenue Code, this is subchapter A, tax on petroleum, okay? Here, they use the term 50 states specifically. They don't forget about it because they can and they do tax it. Here it is, section 4612, definitions and special rules. And for the purposes of this subchapter, again, this is subchapter A, tax on petroleum, tax on oil. Okay, and look at that. They define so many things, including the term United States. Oh, wow. United States means the 50 states. Whoa, whoa, whoa. They didn't forget about it. It's there. Look at that. The 50 states are all included, and also the District of Columbia. Oh, and by the way, for good measure, all these other U.S. territories and possessions are specifically listed and included, right? Let's not stop there. They even add the continental shelf areas that's on the seaboard of the United States, and even foreign trade zones like Panama Canal used to be a foreign trade zone. Wow. So why didn't the Congress use that power, that definition, when it comes to the income taxes? Because they couldn't do it by the Constitution. Okay, I'll cover that in my other videos, okay, other presentations. So now, let's go on a little bit more into detail about this income tax 1.1-1A. We're going to go down on this regulation 1.1-1 and go down to B, okay? Citizen or resident is, again, made liable to the tax. And correctly, they say, in general, all citizens of the United States, wherever residents, and all resident alien individuals are liable to the income tax imposed by the code, okay? So, blah, 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 blah. Now, let's go down to C, who is a citizen. This is the most interesting part. Every person born or naturalized in the United States and subject to its jurisdiction is a citizen. Singular, its jurisdiction. You see, America is not a country. We are actually 50 countries, okay, plus an agent government, the federal government, whose home is the District of Columbia, given to by the states. See? But no, we're not taught this in our history classes in high school very well, okay? But America originally was 13 colonies, became 13 countries, states, independent after 1776. They got together, and what they do, okay, they formed a union, okay? They created this agent headquartered in D.C. to be known as U.S. government, and they gave it, the countries or states, 18 specific common functions to this agent, like common defense against England, trying to take America back as one of its colonies, common currency, immigration rules, commerce between the states, foreign countries, and so for a few others, okay? So that's why in America, we are called the United States, United Countries. Every state in America has its own lawmaking legislature, its own governor, and its own Supreme Court. That's why the corona hoax lockdowns were done country by country, state by state. There was never any federal government lockdown because they had no power to do it per the U.S. Constitution, okay? So with that understanding, see, Washington, D.C. was made to be independent of the states because it's meant to be primarily a military headquarters to protect us from England making American people states, but it had to be independent from the pressure of any one state. That's why they did not put it in Pennsylvania or New York, the biggest states at the time, so it could be independent. And that literally at that time it was 10-mile square land of swamp that Maryland and Virginia gave to this newly created government, that nobody wanted that swampland. Here, you can do whatever you want in there. Okay? You're going to cover this topic more in our other videos. And the 10th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, okay, clearly reminds us that the power is not specifically delegated to the United States. That's, again, the singular government of America, federal government. Not the 50 states, not delegated to the government of the United States. I'm talking about the D.C. government, by the Constitution, nor prohibited by the states are reserved to the states. That's how America is. Okay? Now, let's go to the other part we talked about earlier about non-resident aliens, okay? Here, this gets a little bit more complicated, but let me tell you about the word trader business and non-resident alien, okay? So we have the term trader business, okay? It includes the performance of the functions of a public office, okay? As strange as it sounds, that's what the law says. Commercial businesses are not in there. So only basically government workers are involved in this, right? And that's probably federal workers, because that's where the federal government has power to do anything, okay? Now, Section 871 of the code that we saw earlier about tax on non-resident alien individuals, we have to go talk about that a little bit. But to understand that, we have to understand where is a non-resident alien. So guess what? On definitions, I'm going to go down and down and down. See, this stuff is long. And there's actually a specific definition for the term non-resident alien. Yes. See, they define everything. You see all these definitions? This is on purpose done. Complex, long. You got to keep going down and down and down to confuse the hell out of you. So you give up looking. To look up, no, don't look up what it means. Here it is. Definition of resident alien and non-resident alien. Let's go down to non-resident alien. Now remember, United States means the District of Columbia, right? So what's a non-resident alien? Well, it's very simple. An individual is a non-resident alien if such an individual is neither a citizen of the United States, citizen of District of Columbia, nor a resident of the District of Columbia. Yeah. See, that means that you and me and the people of 50 United States and someone from Russia, China, England, Germany, Brazil will all non-resident alien with respect to that singular government of the District of Columbia, because we don't reside in Washington, D.C., okay? And we're also alien to the District of Columbia, right? I mean, it's so deceptive how they deliberately use these words. They use deception to get you folks, okay? It's not so much just from China and England. It's us, the people of the 50 United States, okay? Now, with that understanding, we're going to go on further. You see everything makes a little bit more sense. Section 871B, okay? Income connected with United States business graduated rate of tax, imposition of tax. Now, this is just a mind blower. This is literally written in code. Like, you're going to change every word you read to what the definition is. Every word. Because now you see, oh, I got it, like a CIA code book. They deliberately wrote it that way, but it's simple if you just understood these words. Trader business is doing federal government work, and non-resident alien is someone who's not from Washington, D.C., like the people of the 50 states. So with that understanding, I'm going to read you this section, and I'm going to replace the real world word instead of the word that actually says. Okay? So, a non-resident alien individual, someone not from Washington, D.C., engage in trade or business, engage with something, government work, okay, federal government work, within Washington, D.C., right? During the taxable year shall be taxable as provided in Section 1, the famous Section 1 we read earlier, we saw, right? Or 55 on his taxable income, which is effectively connected with the conduct of performance of functions of federal government within the District of Columbia. Wow! What a line of deception. Okay? It's basically federal workers, okay, who might live in, Maryland or Virginia or Pennsylvania that travel to work to Washington, D.C. They do the work in Washington, D.C., they're taxable because the work is in D.C. Because in Washington, D.C., they can do whatever they want. They're given full power by the founding fathers because they were expecting anybody to really live there. It was meant to be just a military installation mainly to protect us from England. That's why they can do whatever they want in there, and that's why January 6ers like Jake Lang was 4 years in prison without a trial, without a speedy trial, because speedy trial under the Constitution does not apply to Washington, D.C. They can do whatever the heck they want in D.C. All right? Now, let's continue on this thing. And now the things are becoming clear for you. Now you see the term United States definition is such a key to understand the whole maze of deception. This thing, Internal Roman Code, does not apply to you, the people of the 50 states, right now. It never did apply to American people since, going back to 1913, when I first started this whole thing. I can show that in other videos, which you see a link below in this description of this video, okay? Never did. We've been suckered to be slaves and pay federal income tax that we never legally owed in the first place to the U.S. government. Yep. This form is for District of Columbia individuals. They have to pay that income tax, not you, the people of the 50 states. So, what you want to do is to go to our website, freedomlawschool.org, and take the 7 steps to regain your power and freedom and never again voluntarily pay the Washington, D.C. swamp legally and safely, guaranteed. Yep. So you go down, click on the 7 steps. Yep. Just like Mel Gibson there, you go out there, and number 1, the 7 steps is, you better follow the law. That's the first thing that we teach you at Freedom Law School. Follow the law. Okay? And then I got several videos on this topic in more detail. Okay? Here it is. I got one about main definitions of the United States. Prove the income tax does not apply to 99% of you. Okay? We have a short and long version of these videos. Okay? Here's another one. over 5 generations of deception, income tax law definitions, going back to 1913, the very first modern income tax. Here's another one. By law, who must pay and withhold Social Security Medicare taxes? Not you, the people of the 50 states. You'll see that in that video. And this other one, how the income tax was imposed on the American people despite the 16th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, because it did not give Congress any new taxing power. 16th Amendment is actually very irrelevant to the whole scheme of things, okay? Now, after the law, you must recognize you got to stop filing income tax forms, because when you were deceived by your accountant attorney to sign the IRS Form 1040 income tax confession trap form, you put the noose around your neck. How? When you sign and file the 1040 income tax confession trap, you state under oath that you owe the IRS money. And this is how you give the IRS the power to audit you, empty your bank account, steal your crypto, steal your property, and even put you in prison. Yes, you literally put the rope around your neck when you sign out 1040 from. Stop signing those forms. Read what it says. Read the signature line on 1040 under penalty of perjury. You put the rope around your neck when you sign that form. Step 3, realize IRS is a fraud. They're a bluff. The same corrupt major media that lied to you is the Wizard of Oz to make you afraid of the IRS. Be afraid of the IRS. File a income tax, no matter what, you little slave. Otherwise, the IRS will get you. See why? Because we've been programmed by the corrupt major media, by corrupt charismatic features to push our emotional buttons of fear, panic, stress, anxiety. They tell you to pay your taxes. That's how you became a slave, okay? So you got to realize this deception that's been going on you, and you realize that they are weak. You have the power. Yes, you do. You just never recognize how much power you had, my friends, okay? So let's go now, and then you see step 4. Here, you see that, yes, IRS really is not a Godzilla. They are weak. I've beaten them. So have our students many times, and you got to get all this verified for yourself in step 4. Step 4 from our victories that none of our students have gone to prison. I'm not gone to prison. For over 30 are not filing. Okay. Step 5, don't pay tribute to the crooks in Washington, D.C. Okay. All you gotta do, write to Congress members about all this. They can never show you to be wrong. Okay. And it's all that's for free. And if you want to, next step, like America's founding fathers, this is optional. You can do it for free on your own. It's all there. I just showed it to you. Optional, if you want to be like America's founding fathers, work together to restore freedom, okay, and have 100% guarantee, that option is available for you. Join our Restore Freedom Plan. You get 100% guarantee. You will be completely safe from any and all IRS attacks. And lastly, folks, join our Restore Freedom Plan and tell others. We have to restore freedom in America. And you gotta love and spread the truth. Yes, love and spread the truth. And most importantly, if you can, not only just give it to all your friends and family members. If you know anybody close to Donald Trump, get this video out to him. So he or she can get to Trump. So if Donald Trump and Freedom Law School, we can get together. We're going to educate him that he can just simply say, look, I'm not going to enforce the law, the income tax law on the people of the 50 states that don't owe income tax. He can just stop it all, expose it, eradicate the whole income tax, payroll tax deception, and now Congress will have to act and impose tariff and tax on, immigrants, foreigners, others come to school in America, visiting America, work in America. Those guys pay income taxes, and people import products into America. So with that, my friends, it is up to you to take advantage of this opportunity, folks. I've been waiting decades for a president like Donald Trump, who knows how corrupt the U.S. government is, the deep state, is willing to take action and do something about it. Okay? Yes, I've been doing this since 1992, and this is all black hair. So, take advantage of this. I believe Donald Trump is the most monumentous president in America since the days of Andrew Jackson in the 1830s, when he killed the second privately owned bank in the United States. It's the second bank in the United States. He killed the charter of that bank. From 1832 to 1913, we had all this expansion, despite the Lincoln's war of aggression against the South that really hurt us big time. Why? We didn't have a central bank. Jackson was a man of the people. And so is Donald Trump. Okay? So you stop filing a pay income tax. Tell your friends, family members, stop filing and pay income taxes you never legally owed. Educate them with our step one, the law. We always start with the law. Remember, follow the law based on U.S. government's official legal websites, right? Start there. Take them through the journey. Tell others this world will get out there, and that, like most people, I remember 25 years ago, 20 years ago, nobody heard about keto and paleo and about Western price or carnivore diets. Now everywhere you go, everybody talks about keto or carnivore or all this stuff because the word got out. And same thing is happening with income tax fraud deception, okay? I've been at it for over 30 years. Now it's getting out there. You do your part. Get it out there. Educate yourself as you drive around town. Put up videos. Family members, friends, co-workers. Get the work out. And we can have America be a free country once again without any income taxes, payroll taxes. Okay? No tax on Americans. And as Donald Trump says, instead of taxing Americans to enrich foreigners, we'll tax foreigners to enrich Americans. Thank you for watching. I love you all. And hope to meet you all in person someday soon. Let's do our part to have America be a free country.